the Total Red Football Podcast with me, Kings. Joining me tonight, we've got Tom, Neil, and Kev, a full house on the stream. We're going to be looking back at the Burnley game briefly, looking at Mo Salah's late penalty drama to give the Reds all 3 points. Then again on Wednesday, when we played Atletico Madrid, there was a few talking points. Obviously, another late win. I think that's 5 in a row now for the Reds, and a bit of a skirmish with Diego Simeone near the end as well, getting sent off. And as well as that, of course, we're going to be looking ahead to the derby, the 247th competitive meeting in the Merseyside derby, and what we think the team might be. Neil's got a few ideas on that one, have you, Neil? So it's we'll see how this pans out. But to start with, welcome along, Tom. How are you?
Yeah, all good, all good. Looking forward to the big one tomorrow. Wouldn't mind one more late win, but I hope from then on we can, a couple of 2-0s would do nicely.
I was going to say, I don't know if
I'll take one more tomorrow. Yeah.
A 5-0 spread over, certain points of the game I think would work out much easier. Neil, how are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks, mate. Enjoying the football being back after the internationals. Hoping for a more routine victory tomorrow. Because I don't. Because at some point we're not going to get that late winner. So I prefer. After 6 minutes the other night, I thought, well, here we go, we're back. But no, not even that. But yeah, looking forward to tomorrow as well.
Yeah, and Kev, I'm sure you're looking forward to tomorrow, obviously. But how are you doing? You okay?
All good, mate. All good. Same as the lads. Eagerly waiting for and anticipating the game tomorrow. Hoping for a nice, easier, mellowed day. But I do have oxygen and the emergency services on hand, just in case it does go to the last minute winner.
We shall see. Hopefully it doesn't, but we will get on to discussing the possibilities of that game. First off, I'm going to talk about the Burnley game. I know it was last weekend now, but we seem to be in a habit. So I'll start with you, Tom. We seem to be in a habit of late wins at the moment, and that was no exception. A penalty. I mean, let's just talk about the game itself. A difficult one, to be honest, with Burnley. They sat back, especially the second half, and really made it awkward for any team really to break them down, because it was just 2 lines of defence basically. So it wasn't an easy game, was it?
No, not at all. To be honest, we didn't really look like scoring. I think if I think back to the game, I can't really think of a chance we made where you thought like we had to score that. There wasn't really any of them chances. It was obviously a lot of possession, a lot of shots, but how many shots were blocked? Like a ridiculous amount. I said it was like 81% possession or something, wasn't it? But we weren't really doing anything with it. I think it did have to be like a moment of magic or like a bit of luck, like a penalty, to be honest, to win the game. And thankfully, we got that. Mo had a stinker, didn't see him all game, but he steps up like he always does when we need him, and he buries it. And the 3 points are all that matters. So yeah, tough game, tougher than we expected. I think everyone, but they defended well. I got to give credit to them. They were very hard to break down. But yeah, just thankful we got the win. That's the only most important thing. 3 points on the board, and 4 wins out of 4 in the league. Can't complain.
Yeah. Neil, the expectation, and we talked about it on the show, was maybe Isak might make some kind of appearance. He didn't do that. They went down to 10 men, obviously, and this late drama right at the end of the game. It's I think it got people interested because, like I say, Isak could have played, so people tuned in, and then he didn't. But the drama at the end, that kind of just summed, I suppose, in a way, Liverpool up this season, didn't it? The Late Show.
Yeah, it did. And I think the performance probably summed us up a little bit, because it's been very hit and miss virtually in every game. I think against Bournemouth, we had some decent spells. But the first half in particular was pretty turgid. Second half, we improved. I think having a right back on the pitch, and that's not to say that Dominic hasn't played well, because he has played well when he's played right back, but we seem to be a bit more balanced, and we took more control of the game in the second half. But as Tom said, it looked like it was going to have to be a moment of magic again, or a bit of luck to turn the game, and we did get that bit of luck. So I've been critical of the teams that have been promoted over the past couple of years that they come out and they think that they can play free-flowing football out from the back, like Russell Martin did at Southampton. Burnley were the polar opposite, weren't they, to that? I'm in two minds whether I think it's really good tactics or it's just bloody boring. It's certainly not my type of football. But second half, I don't think they had a touch in our box. So if they'd have got a point, it would have been a tactical masterstroke, wouldn't it? But I was just it was one of those 3 points on back home and just try and get ready for the next game because it wasn't great to watch.
Yeah, I think obviously you mentioned yourself. You follow some League One. I think is it Stevenage or lower league team anyway.
Yeah,
and obviously, lots of people know I've got an association with Wrexham, so I've seen them in non-league and lower league. And you get used to some standards of football where they put so many people behind the ball. It doesn't happen that often in the Premier League, I don't think. But yeah, I got to be honest. I was sitting watching the game, thinking this is anti-football. I can't get my head. I don't like it. I mean, I think Kev. I'm sure they said either the whole second half or the vast majority of the second half, Burnley didn't even come in the Liverpool half. They were defending that much, and Liverpool put so much pressure on. Although we didn't break them down, and it's like that is. It doesn't really show up the Premier League as a top league when it's like that, does it? When it's just one-sided and just defence, does it?
It doesn't. But if you haven't got the team or lack the creativity and the players to play in the league to be expansive, then you will go down the dark arts. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to win a game. I don't mind it myself. It's frustrating to watch, but to say that we were lucky and fortunate is taking it to a place that I don't agree with. We had the momentum, and if you're always on the front foot and you are creating chances, then the opportunity will always arise. The later it goes in the game, anyone who's played the game to any level, once you get into those last 5 minutes and your back four are counting that down, we've got 1 more minute, we've got 2 more minutes, errors are going to happen. Individual errors are going to happen. And that's what happened. We created chance after chance. We were building opportunities. Some of them were cleared and blocked. I get it. But at the same time, we didn't take the foot off the pedal. It would have been more lucky if that was one of only a few chances in the game and it was our only, say, third chance in the half and the opportunity arises. But we were on the front foot. Had they got a point, yeah, they would have been the fortunate ones, and people would be coming away thinking, "Oh, miffed as to our team has done that." I thought Vert should. I actually thought this was a game to see how good we were against the low block side. But credit to Burnley, and if they play like that in certain games against the big clubs, they will frustrate them to a point. It's and that's why you've got to take those early chances, and hopefully, like we did against Athletico, who also play with the dark arts. I find it tactically, it mesmerised me, especially when we talk about the Wednesday game, because I was actually made up with how we played and the whole game in itself. But yeah, Burnley were going to do that. It's a difficult place to go. Turf Moor on a Sunday afternoon. No one really wants to be there. So, to come away with 3 points, it's great, but it's not luck.
Yeah. Tom, there was the penalty incident. Obviously, Frimpong had come on as sub, puts the ball in, Hannibal puts his arm out, and I heard quite a lot of booing after that. And I thought, well, you can't actually now of course, when we're all in the stadium, you see things once. That's it. The ref gets maybe the chance to see it on VAR, but at TV you get 200 replays of every little thing, as we know. But I mean, to us sitting at home, there was no doubt whatsoever it was a penalty. But sitting there, a lot of the Burnley fans were booing, and I was thinking, are they booing the ref for giving the decision? Are they booing the player for putting his out? I don't know, but there seemed to be real hostility towards that decision. But it was a penalty, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, just 100%. I mean, you could see by his reaction, couldn't you, that he hit his hand.
You could tell by the way he covered his eyes, couldn't you? It was just
Yeah. yeah, you knew, he knew, everyone knew that it was a stonewall penalty. But yeah, as I said, the Burnley, not the brightest up there, are they? So we'll let it slide.
Neil, I was just thinking of Salah taking his penalty kick. Now, of course, he does miss, not that often, and I'm quite confident, when he's taking any penalty. And what I find is, like some players, they run up and you can see they're going to go to the left. You can see some people, they just give it away. He does such an unorthodox run up, I feel, because he steps back, then runs from the side and comes at it at an angle. And you're kind of like, you're not quite sure where it's going to go. It's a little bit different, and most of the time it works, and it did on this occasion. So, yeah, he's a little bit different with his penalties, isn't he, Mo?
He is. It was a really good penalty, actually, because I think he missed his last two. He missed at Wembley, didn't he, against Palace, and missed in the friendly. I think it was Athletic Bilbao. So I wasn't overly confident, but he put it. I think he takes better penalties when he does go to that side. I think when he he has that run up, which is meant to fool the keeper or to leave the keeper guessing which way he's going to go. But I always feel when he opens up his body to go to the keeper's right, that's when he gets himself into problems, and it can be saved. I see him put one wide. I think it was against Arsenal. So I think with him, there's a danger that he'll overthink the penalties. Whereas if he just runs up and just smashes it, the keeper won't save it. And that was what he did against Burnley. So, yeah, if you're going to miss them pre-season and then score them when they count.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, I'm glad we got the points. At the end of the day, it was a massive relief. I'm sure it was to every Liverpool fan. They really wanted the points. And it just kind of, I suppose, when it is late like that, Kev, it's like, I've had it at many football matches. You kind of just sitting there going, well, I'm resigned to a draw or a loss, etc. And getting that injury time goal, whether you're going to draw the game or whether you're going to win the game, most of the time feels like a win, because the excitement in the last dying minutes at least gives you a boost, doesn't it?
There's nothing better than a last minute winner. If I could have that every time, I'd enjoy it. The Newcastle one, that being in the stadium for that game, and the way we won it, and the mentality of how we won it, it's great. There's not a better feeling. And for the players as well, if you want to give players the extra confidence, the extra motivation, is a last minute winner will always provide that for you. And we're not going to be able to continue this all through the season. We know it eventually, inevitably, it will come away. But the fact is, and the scary thing is, we haven't even got out of second gear yet, and we're already 3 points ahead of everyone in the table already. So it's set to marker down, and I'll be honest, although I don't want it tomorrow, it's I'm quite happy. There's not a better feeling in football than the last minute winner. That Everton goal, the derby where Pickford just lets it. Should have let it go. Exactly. Yeah. So we have our moments, and we are fortunate that we have a lot that have happened, and it's such a great feeling. And although you feel as though you've gone through every emotion within the stadium, you come out as though you're mentally fatigued because of the amount of emotions that you've gone through the whole game. So you come out exhausted as though you've actually played the 90 minutes, if not more. But the elation you get from a last minute winner, you can't write about it. You can't sum it up either. Unless you're part of that and have felt it yourself, it's hard to explain that actual adulation. But you can see it gives you the momentum, it gives you the confidence, and there's not a better feeling in football. So long we continue.
I think there's two memories from that game with Everton, with the Pickfords. Mess up in goal was I was in a pub in London, found somewhere to watch the game, and I was like, just getting my coat on, going, right, we're in injury time, come on, we're going. And literally as I stood up, put my coat on, they scored. I think that pub was in no doubt which team I supported, I tell you now, because I must have blown the roof off with excitement. And the other thing, and I can understand, I know you apologise afterwards, but that kind of emotion, as you're saying there, Kev, was Jurgen Klopp running on the field. It was such a big thing that happened because it wasn't expected really at that point. It was like it's going to be a draw. He runs on the pitch, obviously chest bumps with Alisson. And you're thinking, you don't even do that. No manager does that. And yet he's done it. And it's just like, you could see the passion. And like you say, that it really does make a difference and it can give you a big boost. Now, talking about last minute winners, we'll move on and talk about the game on Wednesday. Atletico Madrid. Again, we had a last minute winner or, tail end winner. But before we get to that, Neil, I'll come to you first. Playing against Atletico Madrid, much was made of the game in 2020 pre-COVID, allowing all the fans to come over, and Llorente scored twice then, as he did he likes playing at Anfield, doesn't he? Because, but what was your overall thoughts of the game?
So interesting. I was at that game in 2020, and I thought it was probably arguably our best performance of the season. I thought we were fantastic in normal time, and then gave them a couple of silly goals away. So yeah, when I saw Oblak, because I remember him having a blinder that night, and Llorente, it did send chills down me a little bit. So yeah, like Kev said, whatever happened in the game and the way we won it, fine. But the performance was one to enjoy and one which was much improved, I think, on every other performance this season. I think we created 7 big chances against the Diego Simeone team. So I think I took more positives out of Wednesday's match than any other game this season. I thought Vert's second half was much better. I thought Isak helped to unlock him a bit in the first half as well, and I thought he looked good. I enjoyed it, and the other games like Newcastle, it was brilliant, but you couldn't say that we deserved to win the match. But the other night, I thought we were much better, much improved. There's still bits we need to sort out, but their goals were both a bit. I mean, the first one I couldn't believe wasn't disallowed, and the second one was a deflection. So yes, we had a lucky goal as well. So I felt quite positive after the game. I thought started to see a bit more fluidity in our play at times. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, Tom, I know you were at the game watching in the stadium. The goal they scored, did you all think in the ground that it was going to be chalked off? Because I'll be honest, I put it into our chat. I was just surprised the way he was blocking Alisson that they didn't give it as a disallowed goal, but it stood. Which did people in the stand agree with that? I don't think, probably.
So to be honest, I didn't really notice it. I was actually on the cop on Wednesday, so obviously like the other side of the ground. I didn't really notice it, to be honest. So yeah, and then the second goal again, couldn't really tell what happened with that either. It just kind of seemed to, have like a weird movement in the air. But then obviously it took a massive deflection, didn't it? But yeah, what a way to win! I loved. I'm normally lower Kenny, so it was good little change for me. And yeah, the last minute when it was brilliant. Yeah, loved it.
What was your thoughts overall with the game? Obviously 2-0 up, you're thinking we're okay because it was early. The way we started quite early with the goals. Yeah. Do you think then we were going to be okay, or did you kind of think, well, this Simeone's teams, do come back at you? So were you expecting a bit of a fight back?
No, I think like Neil said, when we went 2-0 up after 5 minutes, you're thinking, here we are, this is it. This is the game we're going to click, and this is the game we're going to, give someone a hard and put 4 past someone. But an hour later, it's 2-2. You think, but yeah, no, it was. I was impressed with what I saw. To be honest, it was like you said, the first goal shouldn't have stood, and the second goal was a bit of a freak goal. I never think they were kind of on top. To be honest, maybe early part of the second half, maybe, but I always kind of thought we were. It was one of them. If they scored, we'd score, kind of thing. I always felt like we were in control of that game. Burnley, I didn't feel like that. I thought Burnley, we could come on stuck there, but I thought Wednesday just had that confidence that we do it Wednesday.
So if you were on the cop, you had a perfect view of Van Dijk's header. You see that one floating in. Happy to see that go in so late on then.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Can't beat the last minute winner, especially European night. There's always something special about the first Champions League game back as well. It's still quite light outside. It's got like a semi-final kind of vibe to it. And yeah. As I said, good performance. maybe 20 minutes second half, we fell off a little bit, but I always felt we were in control of that game, and yeah, delighted to get the first win on the board in the Champions League.
Yeah. Now, Kev, I know obviously you were at the game as well. What's your overall thoughts of it? What were you expecting from it? It probably wasn't this.
I was expecting a very physical game, a low block game, a team that's very disciplined in all aspects, quick to get back, and that's the Simone team summed up, and that's how it played out. It didn't matter if we went 2-0 up; we needed that third goal to kill it off, and we had equal opportunities to do that. I thought we allowed them to play the ball around a bit too more than what I would have liked. We didn't have the pressing that I was expecting. Our midfield let us down in certain areas, and that allowed them to build confidence. Allowed the likes of the engine room of a Gallagher, although he didn't do much in the game, he starts getting forward with the ball. You then see Griezmann flowing in between the channels, and is actually then picking up movements and picking up the ball. I didn't actually think their goal was offside, because where I was sat, I actually thought the offside that everyone was talking about was the first movements and the first ball goes down on Robbo's side. I couldn't actually see that Griezmann was in his way. Someone did mention it behind me, and I've looked back and he was in the way. But there seems to be a different dynamic when it comes to referees when they actually the game in Europe compared to that in the league. So it's kind of different. I know I've gone off screen. I'm having difficulties with me thinking monitor at the minute. But I'll continue until I've done this, and then I'll go back onto my phone.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah. So when you look at that, you start thinking to yourself, okay, so there's a different mentality in how they referee games, which kind of goes against what you would see normally in the Premier League, which kind of gets a bit frustrated. And I think the referee didn't do himself much in that game. I thought he was very weak in certain decisions, but the physicality that Madrid bring, Atletico bring, you saw that through the pitch, and they had us moving across the whole pitch, and they played well. The discipline of that side, the discipline that Simone gets from his sides is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The quickly to press, the quickly to get back into position, the quickly to get in that low containment, and you saw that all through the game. We had our moments, and until we scored that third, they were always going to do that. They then changed up, which I thought was a great move by bringing Koke on and a few others. That then, it's as though they had the team for the first half and team for the second half of the game, and they had the momentum to a certain degree. But then when we get the third, they go down the other end and nearly scored to equalise. So, it was end to end. What doesn't help is our actual, I'll be honest, it's individual errors. It's not the fact how we defend. It's individual errors for me. The fact that we half-heartedly block and get rid of the ball, but then it comes back and then it goes flying in for the equaliser to go 2-2. So there's individual errors that is adding to this. I'd like us to get back to a bit of games management as well, if I'm being perfectly honest. But as well as that, I thought Vert and Isak, I think Isak, the way he plays, is going to bring out Vert a lot more than what we've seen. The interplay that they had first half, especially in the second half, as Neil said, you could see that they're actually linking up well. The one thing I like about Isak is he was playing the channels very well. He doesn't actually come too far out. He doesn't go seeking the ball the way Etikete does. He's willing to stay where he is. And when he does get the ball, he's very creative and very skillful in what he does. The ball he plays through to Vert in the first half, I thought, Frimpong should have scored. I think Vert should have. I think the frustration for me was Vert needs to shoot a little bit more than actually passing the ball more than what he is. But in truth, I thought it was a great, fascinating game from end to end. And it's a game that if you come out of that, you feel as though you've gone through a battle. And the team played very well for me. I thought Atletico are a very good side, especially in Europe. And that's
And that's the difference. The mad thing about it is when you look at Virgil, he's actually now scored 25 goals, plus goals with the Zedder. And since 2018, there's only 5 in the top 5 leagues who've scored more than that. 4 of them are centre forwards. He's the only centre half on there. That shows how good and quality is. And you could see, even as I said against Burnley, the momentum. Yeah. It was corner after corner after corner, and then eventually we do it. So it's not like a game luck that everyone seems to be talking about. It's because we're always on the front foot. We're creating chances and the opportunities happen. I think if you ask any rival club supporter, and they will, it was corner after corner, and then it was the third corner we then scored from. And the adulation from that, and then your mind goes back to that. But yeah, it was a great game for me, and I agree with Neil. It's a game that you come out with a lot more confidence. And if you look at the 2 low block sides that we played against, one in Burnley and the one in Europe, I think to come out with the win against Atletico, you feel it's more of an accomplishment than the one against Burnley because of the side that they are. So no, it was a great game for me, and I quite like playing against Simone. It's a good way to see where your team is physically and how good you are, man. We playing against the low block side because they're one of the best I've witnessed, and even every time we play them, I'm staggered at how he gets his players to be so disciplined and so into his ethos of playing football, because there'd be many that wouldn't like that, but he gets it out of them, and they tend to enjoy playing for him. Do you know what I mean? And it comes across. I don't get it with all the drama at the end and all like that, but take that out of it. His sides are set up structurally well to cause issues and frustrate people, and the physicality they've got is unbelievable. So I'll stop talking now.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. While Kev sorts out his camera, I'm just going to ask you two lads about Alexander Isak. Obviously, made his debut 58 minutes before, he'd run out of steam at that point. Tom, I'll come to you first. Lots of fans were expectant that he might, play some part of the game. What did you think? How did he rate in what you've seen of him?
I was really impressed.
Very rusty, obviously.
Yeah, I was very impressed, to be honest, considering obviously the context. He's played 18 minutes in 4 months. I think we've got to be very happy with that performance. It wasn't like he wasn't really involved too much, but it was just like the moment he was involved, the little touches, he took no time to get shots off. Just like little things like that where you could just see the quality shining through was, very, very encouraging. I think we all had our hearts in our mouth, didn't we, when he went down like after half an hour. But yeah. As I said, you could see, even though he wasn't involved too much, you could see the glimpses in, the world class quality that he has. Obviously, he lasted an hour, which was probably more than we all thought. Probably thought 45 minutes at absolute best. So to get an hour from him unscathed and look really good. The link up with Vert was very promising, I thought. I think he could unlock Vert in a way, because they're both such intelligent players, and they'll both sort of link off each other. And obviously, you include Salah in that. There's 3 world-class players, and then you put 3 world-class players up there, then it's only going to lead to good things. So, yeah, I was very, very encouraged by the performance, and yeah, he's only going to get better and better as the season goes on.
Neil, what was your thoughts on Isak and his debut?
Yeah, I thought he was good. It took him a little while to get into the game, which I think is understandable. But just in the silkiness of his touch and his link-up play, the one-touch manner of it at times, you could see really brings Verts into the game. In particular, I think Salah responded to it. He was so much better on Wednesday night. So I thought he was really good. We got an hour out of him. Like most of the games this season, when the subs come, we actually we don't seem to improve. And him go, I don't think we improved after he went off until those last sort of 10 minutes or so after they'd equalised. So, I think it's really promising. I just hope that when he goes off the pitch, or whether it's Ekatike that goes off the pitch, we seem to go passive. I think when we've got a narrow lead, we do seem to go passive, and I think maybe that's where our concentration starts to go a bit awry as well. So, and I think Slot picked up on that as well. So, we need to be playing with intensity as much as we can and as long as we can without doing ourselves in. But on Isak, the guy's quality. I think as soon as he can score, the better, because then you don't want him going 3-4 games without scoring because of the noise around it. But I think he'll, he's quality. He'll get his goal, and as soon as he's match sharp, he'll be off and running.
Kev, I know you've just briefly mentioned it there. I don't want to dwell too much on what did and didn't happen with Simeone at the end, but the way the game finished, as we've already spoke, a last gasp winner again. That's the 5th game in the row now that we've left it late, in like 80 minutes plus to score a goal. First of all, it was lovely to see that going in, and the captain as well. I'm going to ask something which I just thought about. Does anybody know? Because I've never looked into it, so I'm just asking. Does anybody know what Virgil's celebration is all about when he does this? Because I have no idea what that means. He does it every time. It's like a little spider on his chin, and it's like, does that represent anything? Does anybody know?
No.
Nothing? No. I've seen it so many times. I think I'm going to have to try. I'll have to bump into the guy himself, which would be nice anyway, and just be like, what is this about? Because I have no idea. He can do it as many times as he likes.
I think it was Wijnaldum's to start, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll do a bit of digging and see if I can find out for the next stream. So obviously scoring so late on, we get that. There was a bit of argy-bargy at the end with Simeone and one of the fans. Now, I have seen that fan on TikTok since trying to explain it, saying, listen, I never goaded him that much. I did the usual have that kind of thing. And yes, there was some expletives, but his version of events, which I say I can't say if it's right or not, saying, he wasn't racist and he didn't say anything too bad. Although I did see from the other side that one of the coaches, I think it was very much effing and blinding at the fans. And one of them did spit at the fans as well, which is totally unacceptable, obviously. What was your thoughts on it? When you're in the ground, you probably don't notice it quite as much. You just see something going on and that's it. It's done.
Where I was, I'm opposite that. I'm on the 18-yard line, cop end, basically in the upper Kenny. So I just saw a melee going on. Then you hear that he's being called the Argentinian Arteta, and I think that would cause me to kick off about it as well. That's the worst, probably the worst thing you could have been called. Look, whatever's being said between those two, I'm not getting involved in all that. It's part of the drama that he brings and always has brought to the dugout. So I saw it. I just thought, from my point of view, this is gonna. I was getting frustrated because this now means that he's going to add more time on at the end, and at the end of the day, I just want the game over with. We've just scored. Let's get the game started, and that's the only frustration I got out of it. And as usual, the communication to people within inside the ground is nothing, non-existent. So you have to wait until you're either on your phone out as you're walking out or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's not one of them. He always brings this wherever he goes. So it doesn't matter. But I think I'd be kicking off as well if I was being called the Argentinian Arteta. So yeah, not nice.
I'm going to pivot completely now, and I didn't even mention this in the chat that we're going to talk about it, but it's all part to do with with that game. It's Ryan Gravenberch. Now, he missed the first game of the season. He, to be fair, when we won the league last year, he was phenomenal in the number 6, and there's quite a lot to report, about this time about him. Like I say, missed the first game, has come in. Burnley played fantastic. Atletico, I think he was even better. Neil, I'll come to you first. Considering when we were looking for a 6 and we were looking at Zubamendi, etc., and they said, "Oh, it's okay, we're going to put him there." I'm sure a lot of people, and me included, had some reservations about this. I mean, he's only 23. He's a young lad. He hasn't got maybe that much experience there. How do you feel he's adapted to this role that he's been given under Slot?
I don't think he could have done much better, to be honest, because I don't think... I remember someone saying to me, we could try Gravenberch as a 6 18 months ago, and I was like, no, I don't see that working at all. And he kind of grew into the role and did a brilliant job for the team last year. But I'd say, if anything, I think he's gone up a level this season.
Yeah.
And he's actually bullying players, like opposition midfield at times. I think he tied second half on Wednesday, but at times he's got all the attributes to be a proper world-class midfield player. He's strong, he's technically good, he can pass, he can shoot. We've still got to see more of that added to his game. As I say, I think he's gone up a level from last season, which was an exceptional season. And I think you can see the confidence growing in him. And I think it's not going to be long before everybody's talking about him as one of the world's best.
Yeah. Tom, I agree with Neil. It wasn't expected of him maybe, but, at 23, a league winner in that position has obviously given him a lot of confidence, and when you see him now, is some of the surging runs he makes, he's got really crisp passing and a wide range of passing as well. So that's a lot to his game that really helps him settle into that role. And now he's obviously confident after the year there anyway, thinking, do you know what? He can make it his own, can't he?
Yeah, I think he's just outstanding. I think you saw the first couple of games when he was missing, how much we absolutely did miss him. The teams didn't look quite right without him. I think there's an argument to be made. He's our most important player. The way he receives the ball, the way he does that trademark little turn, which, takes 2-3 players out the game. Yeah, he's just absolutely outstanding. He's got everything, as you said, to be a world-class midfielder. Powerful, strong, good dribble, carry the ball, can read the game, he could just do everything. He's just been absolutely outstanding. And, when you think back to a year ago when that Zubimendi thing fell through and we were all, gutted at the time, and look how things kind of work out. There's been past examples of it as well, like this Gerrard slip. If that doesn't happen, then Klopp doesn't come. This one, Zubimendi, if we sign him, then Gravenberch never gets this place, he never gets this chance. Sometimes things just work out, and thankfully this was another one. The only worry will be if he got injured, because there's just no one that can even come close to what he does. And that's partly why I say he's arguably our most important player, because there's no one who can fill in and do the job that he does. I think it will only be a matter of time before he's being recognised as the player he is, which is world class. And I think there's an argument to be made. He's the best midfielder in the world right now. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say at the moment. He's one of them players I just love watching. You just love watching him play football, because he's just, as I say, he's just a joy to watch. The things he does, the silkiness that he plays with. Long may it continue, and he's going to get better. He's 23 years of age, so he's got another three years to reach his prime. So just looking forward to watching him for many more years to come, and hopefully he stays with us and doesn't swan off to Madrid like one or two of the others.
Well, I was just going to say, obviously with the contract situation, we know what's happening with Konate as well. It looks like he's winding his down. I just hope that when he comes to his prime years, he's still at Liverpool, because Kev, when he came in originally, it was a bit like, is he the right kind of player for Liverpool? Is he going to, where's he going to fit in? But he has nailed down this position, and obviously Slot has, looked at him and thought, you know what, I can trust him there, hasn't he? And he's paying dividends, many times over at the moment.
You'd be frustrated if you're a Bayern Munich fan and you see what Ryan Gravenberch is doing with Liverpool for the money we paid for him. We only outlaid something like €40 million for him, I think. And to get the player he was before he goes to Bayern Munich was what I was expecting. What we've got is someone who's gone up another level from that. And it's hard to believe that moving him to the position he is with Slot may have cost Klopp not winning the league the year before. And to do that is to say that says a lot about him as a player and what he brings. I love watching him play. You see him flow through with the ball. He glides through that midfield like a knife through butter at times when he gets the ball. And his first movement with the ball, and then afterwards when he's moving progressively through the midfield, it's unbelievable. It baffles me how we've managed to stumble across this, and rival fans were going, well, it's a typical Liverpool thing to do, isn't it? They struggle to find a centre mid and someone to play in that position, and lo and behold, they've got someone on the books already that they bring in to fill in, and look at him now, he's a worldie. And it's credit to him because he's took on the role that a lot of us didn't think he could have the attributes to do. Because if you look at him, he looks blank. Doesn't look as though he's got that physicality about him, as the lads have said. But he's unbelievable when you see him in there. And as Tom alluded to, we miss out and we cry out for him. We missed him when we played against Palace in the Charity Shield, and it's evident when he's not playing, and that's a credit to him, to what he's done. He's took on a position that he may have reluctantly wanted to take, and look what he's made it into. Now he's made it into an absolute. I agree with Tom. I think he's probably one of, if not he's in the top 5 of the best midfielders in the world at the minute, because he's that good. Yeah. And it's credit to Klopp with his coaching to be able to understand that we're going to move you about and see something in him that a lot of us didn't think he could do, and it's gotten to a level now where we are talking of him as in the top 5 in the world, and that's credit to him. And we are going to miss him if he does get injured. I hope to God that he doesn't, because he's great to watch, and I'll spend most of my time tomorrow watching him on that field, thinking, "Wow, I'm glad you're playing for us and not against us."
It's interesting. I think everyone spoke about this year's transfer window and how great it was, and everyone is in agreement. But the transfer window, where George Schmatka was there and he brought in Szoboszlai, another player that's levels have gone up, McAllister, Gravenberch and Endo, looking like a brilliant window now as well.
Yeah, to be fair, it's I think it's vastly underrated, because at the time it was a bit like we got this temporary guy in, kind of looking at players and everything, and now as it's worked out, it was a master stroke. We knew all along what was going to happen. That's the way it was meant to be. Like Kev said, it just falls into place nicely sometimes, which we've been very lucky.
Kings, just on the celebration that Virgil does, by all accounts, it's tribute to his young daughter, Neela, however you pronounce it. She does the chin wave celebration, and the defender does it every time he scores a goal now. So it's because of Neela or Neela, however you pronounce her name.
Yeah, Van Alden did it when Virgil's injured. That's where I was getting the Van Alden thing from. Yeah,
right. That makes sense now. Then, yeah. Fair play. So I know a lot of the players obviously do things for family, whether they tap a particular tattoo or whatever. But no, that's really nice. At least I'm glad I know why he doesn't. And I want to see it a lot more, because 25 is not enough. I want more goals off him. So, right. The last thing we're going to talk about, by no means the least thing, is probably one of the biggest things that we write in the diary when the fixtures come out, is the Merseyside derby. The 247th Merseyside derby is tomorrow. 12:30 kickoff, obviously first game of the weekend for the Premier League. Right, where do I start? Tom, a big game. I mean, we say this all the time. Every game's a big game because you just want to keep winning, etc. But we know the derby and obviously the Manc derby, they're the two that a lot of people will look out for straight away and go, when are we playing these? So first one's at home at Anfield. How do you think this one's going to go then? How would you predict this one, isn't it?
The derby belly's kicking in already, I'll tell you that. But yeah, like you said, when the fixtures come out, the two games you look for straight away is this one and Man United. As always, you never know how it's going to go. It's one of them games where you say form goes out the window, and it kind of does, to be fair, because it's a game like no other. Like the intensity, the hostility, the rivalry. It's just like, as I said, it doesn't happen in any other fixture across the calendar. So it is just one of them games. Like, who wants it more is a big factor in it. I'm comfortable getting the job done, but I wouldn't be surprised to see another 95th minute winner. I think it could be a tight one. It's a quick turnaround from Wednesday. It's 2.5 days since Atletico, so we've not had any chance to really prepare for it. They've also had all week to look at us and how to kind of prepare for us. We've not really had that vice versa. But then in our favour, we're a much better football team and we're at home, so it balances out. So yeah, I'd take off someone's ass 1-0 all day long. We just have to beat them. As always, no different to any other time. We have to beat them. We have to, keep Merseyside red as we know it is. But we have to stamp that authority again. Keep that 100% record up. And yeah, hopefully 2:30. We've got 5 wins out of 5, and we can have 10 hours on the piss.
Nicely put. Yeah, fair enough. I'm going to stick with you, Tom. I'm not superstitious. Right? I don't have this thing of walking under ladders or number 13 or whatever it is. So I'm going to say this, and if it goes wrong, please don't blame me, because I'm not superstitious. But Liverpool have lost just one of their last 28 home games against Everton in all competitions. That's 17 wins, 10 draws, winning each of the past 4. So when it comes to playing at Anfield, obviously there's a lot of expectation, I suppose, that, and obviously being league champions and we're doing well at home and all the positivity is like, do you see anything other than a win? Not what you hope. Do you see anything?
I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be too surprised with the draw, because I do think they are a good side this year. I think they're solid. I think that Tarkowski, he's a bit of a yard dog, but he's outstanding in what he does. I think he just gets his body where it hurts, and he's been a bit old school, but in a weird way, I kind of like it. I really do think he's an outstanding defender. Pickford, although I can't stand the man.
Can't be doing with him.
But again, he is a good goalkeeper, to be fair to him. They do have a good solid foundation there, and then they've got a bit more quality now up front. It's with Grealish, with that, and Dye. I think these are technically good players that if you give them space, they can hurt you. So yeah, as I said, I'm giving this quick turnaround from Wednesday. I think it could be a draw, which going into a derby, I'd never mind. You just can't lose. You just cannot lose to them, no matter what you do. If you offer me a draw now, I wouldn't be gutted. As I said, you just cannot lose to them, because even behind closed doors that time, I felt sick for about a month after it. So yeah, I wouldn't be too shocked if it was a draw. But yeah, I'll go 2-1. I do think a late winner could be on the cards again. I don't know why, but yeah.
Just imagine a last minute Isaac winner. Oh, what? They bring the house down. That would that new stand would be crumbling.
Virgil 2.0 2018. Debut Premier League debut goal. That'll go down a treat.
Neil, now we know what happened in the last game. Is it Tarkowski? And I still am convinced that the referee got it wrong. At the end of the day, the player is supposed to go off after an injury, as far as I was concerned. Now, I've seen it, funny enough, this weekend, or last weekend, or was it in the other game, actually, the other day? Players are not necessarily being told to go off now for 30 seconds. Is that new? I don't know. I haven't looked at the new rules at all, see if anything's changed. I assumed after an injury, apart from the goalkeeper, you're supposed to go off until the referee tells you to come back on. So there's a bit of tension maybe from that game, how it finished. And it's a Merseyside derby. And looking at the stats here, it says Liverpool... the Merseyside derbies have had more red cards than any other fixture in Premier League history, with 25. Can you see a bit of friction in this one, maybe, and maybe going a step too far in a red card? Do you think it might?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we talk about them getting that late equaliser, if you remember, Tarkowski should have been sent off at Anfield as well. He did a horrific challenge follow through on Alexis McAllister. So it does seem to be his name that seems to be the one that people pick up on. So yeah, I could easily see a red card. I think it's really important to play with emotion, but not with too much that you go over the top and do something reckless. So it wouldn't. I think it would be tight, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the referee brandish some cards. It's interesting what you say about players going off as well, because it was the Burnley game, wasn't it? And I think after McAllister, that was a potential red card challenge.
Yeah, because there was a lot of booing, as well. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, he stayed on the left, obviously told him to stay on.
If you get fouled, should you really leave the pitch? It seems unfair to be able to do that. Yeah. And then he balanced it up, Michael Oliver, in the second half. I think a Burnley player went down injured and he stayed on the pitch. I don't know whether the rules changed. I don't know. I don't think the commentators knew whether the rule was changed, but there did seem to be a pivot in the way that was handled, and it almost appeared to be a bit of common sense.
Do you know what I'm thinking? It should be the other way around. If the player gets fouled and they have to come on and treat him, the one who's committed the foul should go off for 30 seconds or a minute. And I sound daft, like a bit like a mini sin bin, you know what I mean? But it's like you say, it's odd that the player who gets fouled and gets potentially a really bad injury goes off and has to miss, a little bits of the game because of the rules. It's like, but anyway.
I think we're due a decision against Everton. So the ref tried to give us probably the worst penalty decision I've ever seen on Wednesday night. So let's have one against Everton that swings the game in our favour and means that we're not biting our nails in the 93rd minute again. But I think it'll be tight.
Yeah, the thing is with David Moyes, Kev, he's a wily old fox. He knows the Merseyside derby inside out now. After the second spell, obviously at Everton here, Everton have won 6 of their last 11 away games in the Premier League, 2 draws, 3 defeats, as many as they'd won the previous 30. So he's definitely changed things, made them a bit different. He's come out today in his press conference and said, obviously Liverpool's made some really good signings. He doesn't actually like the derby that much, and I think, even as Tom was saying it then, we all as fans get worked up to the point of you want the win that bad, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to be on the receiving end of, potential ridicule and abuse for God knows how long. So it's not an easy game. The derby never is. But how do you see this one playing out?
As I said, bit of a tight affair. I think Everton. I think it's one of a few times where both teams are coming into it with a good set of form. They've started the season well. Yeah. I think Moyes will be looking at this thinking that, what do we do? Because he's got a team that can play offensively. They've made those upgrades, but he also wants to keep it tight. So I think he's in a conundrum as how he wants to play this low block. But I think he wants a bit of low block and a bit of offensive mindedness. But what comes with the offensive mindedness leave spaces and opportunities for us to play in, and that plays into our favour a little bit more. I think what we have to do is play the game predominantly in their half, not play to Grealish's strengths, which is giving away stupid fouls in key areas, keep their set pieces to a minimum, and utilise the spacing and the quality we've got, especially offensively. I think if anything, it's our defensive mindness is probably key to this, to us to win. We have to be up for the physicality. We can't just turn up and rock up. But I do think we have enough firepower to manage this game a lot better than what we have done than the other previously 5 games that we played. But Moyes is still probably, no wonder he doesn't like this fixture. I think he's still looking for his first win in a derby ever. So that says a lot for me. I fully expect a win. Nothing less than a win is good enough. I would be annoyed, frustrated if we come out of this with a draw. I think we have the team and the capability of doing this. I am more confident with derbies at home than I am away. I think Goodison is or was one of the worst places to go, hostile-wise, under the lights. We now and again we turn up, but predominantly they find a way, like they always do against us. But you don't know what the Hill Dickinson's going to bring. So that's a new. I was hoping they were going to start poorly in the new stadium. So it looks a bigger pitch than Goodison. That plays in our favour as well. But no, I expect a tough affair. I think what's good is that Branthwaite isn't playing for them. So Keane gives you the opportunity of where their weakness is on there, and especially if Malenko doesn't play, I think they'll be playing Garner out of position as well. So that plays into our favour. We've just got to turn up. If we treat it as though we're playing Atletico Madrid, we win this about 5-6-0.
Wow. That would be amazing.
Because if you look at the way we started and how we played, they don't have the skill or the physicality of the players, albeit they've got individuals that do individual stuff, but they haven't got a team ethic that a Simone team that you play against. So they won't be able to do that countlessly for a good 90 minutes. They'll do it in little bits. They'll do a 15-minute spell, possibly. They'll try and keep it down. But if we scored early and we played the way we did against Atletico in the first half and create those chances, I see nothing than an easy Liverpool win. But if we fail to win, I will be annoyed and frustrated.
That's fair enough. So will I'll be honest. Just some stats, Tom, right? So I don't know if they make any difference, because I think it's more like a cup game every time we play, although we know it's a league game twice a year. The Reds are unbeaten in 19, or the last 19 Premier League games. No, sorry, not that one. Since the start of 23-24, Liverpool haven't lost any of the 8 games that they've kicked off at 12:30, right? While Everton, meanwhile, have lost. They haven't won any of their fixtures. I think it's 4 draws and 5 losses when they've kicked off at 12:30. So that points to a Liverpool victory. But as I've just said, it's more like a cup game every time, isn't it? It's never the case of, they're doing well in the league or they're doing poor. It always seems to be like a one-off kind of event, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I said, it's form goes out the window, stats go out the window, everything goes out the window. And as I said, you just hope that we're the ones more for it on the day, and we show that. We know we've got more quality. We know we've got the home fans behind us. So as I said, if we just go out there, do our job, don't get sucked into what they want it to be. They want it to be physical. They want it. They want long balls. They want, as I said, like a physical game. We just play our normal game. Don't get caught up in what they're trying to do. Then I think we'll be fine. But it's easier said than done. Tackles go in, things happen in derby games that you can't really control in a weird way. So yeah, as I said, we just play our football and we'll be fine. But easier said than done.
Neil, Rio Ngomor could become the youngest player to feature, Merseyside derby at the age of 17 years old and 22 days, beating the record of Robbie Fowler, who was 18 and 338 days old. I think there's a good chance he will break that record. So I'll bring him on, even if it's the last 10 minutes. Can you see any other surprises with the squad announcements, or the team announcement tomorrow?
No, not really. I think the difficulty is who you're going to leave out the squad, because I think everyone's available. Curtis Jones is back. So I'm assuming Rio will get on the bench ahead of Chiesa, which again is harsh on Chiesa, but I think Rio running at Joey O'Brien late in the game does seem quite appealing. And it was refreshing to see that Slot was willing to chuck him on against Atletico the other night. So the trust in him now, obviously there'll be trust in him in the future because he's going to be a fantastic player. But Slot seems to trust him now, and I think him being used late in games will be effective. And as you say, I can see him being used. I think the other night I was begging for him to run at their their defence, and he didn't really do it. He cut back a lot.
Yeah.
But against Burnley, I actually thought his decision-making in the few minutes that he was on the pitch was far superior to the more experienced players, and he played one fantastic ball across the box where he was just composed. He got his head up, and he just picked a pass. So, yeah, I can see him being used, and I think he's a great option. And I'm just pleased to see that, because after he didn't come on in the Community Shield, he didn't come on against Bournemouth. I was a bit sceptical as to whether it was going to be pre-season for him and then just like playing in the Carabao Cup games. But it does seem that he's being treated as a serious first team option. And he's an exciting one because late in games, if you're a big defender, Joey O'Brien, I think he's a centre back, isn't he? And he's playing right back. The last thing you need is someone with that much skill, that much pace, running at you. So yeah, I don't think there'll be many surprises. Fully fit squad. He can rotate if he wants to. So if there are any physical issues, we've got cover in every area really. But he's not one to make lots of changes, is he? So I think if he might rotate the left back, might rotate right back. I don't know. I wasn't that impressed with Conor Bradley when he came on Wednesday. I think I feel more confident with Frimpong against Grealish. But there's options. And as much as I was critical of the fact that our intensity, we seem to go passive in games, maybe that's one of the reasons why we're not picking up as many muscle injuries and other injuries as we have in the past.
Well, you saying about Grealish, I think Liverpool, he has the most goal involvements against Liverpool than any other team, which 3 goals and 4 assists, I think. So he's definitely somebody to look out for, and he's hit the ground running there, to be fair to him. So we talked about it being a one-off game, and we all want the win. So I'm going to ask you your score predictions in a sec, but 26 league games between them in the Premier League have been draws. So it wouldn't surprise me if it ended up that way, but I don't want it to be. So I'm going to kick it off and say I'm going for a 3-1 win at Anfield tomorrow, and Isak is going to score. I don't know, I don't even know if he's going to play, but you know what I mean? It's like, I think he'll score tomorrow if he does play, and I think it'll be 3-1. So, Tom, what do you think?
I'll go 2-1. 2-1 Burton, Isak last minute. That'll do nicely. As I said, he just bring the house down, wouldn't it? So, Kev, what's your thoughts on it?
2-0.
2-0. Okay, and Neil?
I'm going to go 1-0. And I think Wirtz will score. I think he's starting to knock on the door a little bit. So I think he will be the goal scorer. Okay, so 4 of us have gone for a victory. I hope we're all not angry. Like Kev said, we're not going to be disappointed and angry for the next week. That's what we'd like to see. And yes, it is the derby game, and we'd love 3 points. But with Man City playing Arsenal on Sunday, they both can't win. So this is a good chance to try and capitalise on at least one of the sides, if not both, if it's a draw. So really, it's imperative, even at this early stage, that we keep getting the points, whether it's early in the game, late in the game. I don't care where it comes from. If it's off Alisson, if it's off Wirtz, whatever, I'm not bothered who scores, as long as it's in, and at the end, when the whistle goes, it's 3 points. We shall see, obviously. I want to thank Tom, Neil, and Kev for their time tonight, talking about the Burnley game, the Atletico Madrid game, and obviously the preview to the Merseyside derby tomorrow. Thank you very much, lads. Like I said, we've all gone for a win. Hopefully, all LFC fans will be happy at the end of the game, around about 2:30 tomorrow, I hope. And there's no major dramas, just a good game of football. But we shall see. Until next week, everybody,